Hi everyone, welcome to another Sunday Speaks. I am, as always, am Cheyenne Severin, and today I'm here with our Warren County coordinator, is that right?
Yeah,
And your name is?
my name is Amy Coughlin.
Nice. Okay, so Recovery Day is coming up on September 9th, and this month we're focusing on a lot of wellness and wholeness and everything like that. So that's why we have Amy on today. And Amy, you were planning on going to Recovery Day, is that right?
Yes. Oh, yes. I may be the MC actually this year. I gotta find out if that's for sure, like, the details, but I will definitely be there. I love everything that we do at Recovery Day.
So I actually wasn't able to go last year. Would you be able to provide any detail about what usually happens at Recovery Day or?
So yeah, um, well, great turnouts usually. A lot of people, which makes my heart so full because um over the years, it just keeps growing. And which means like the ripple effect, which we're trying to accomplish, is really coming to fruition. And a lot of people come out and support us. It's just a bunch of people coming together. There's going to be different vendors, like tables set up. People bring different parts of people have different vendors there. I'm trying to think of like specifically the vendors, but I can't off the top of my head. But I know that there's a lot of different vendors there, and there's music and food, and we're going to have a meeting, and I'm sure there's a speaker. It's just a good time. People come together to celebrate those we've lost, and also the people that are still alive and recovering.
So if anyone watching or listening is interested, I think we have the details for the event up on our website, so alumnirecovery.org. But let's get on to why I actually brought you here today, Amy. um, Speaking about wellness and wholeness and everything, you practice yoga. So what about yoga is appealing to you? What about that really helps contribute to your mental health and wholeness?
Hmm. So, a little backstory about me, just to fill you in on why I am part of Alumni in Recovery. I think that will help while I explain this too. I, my clean date is September 25th, 2016, and I was in Springhouse in Paramus for about 10 months. And when I got out of Springhouse, I had like rediscovered myself while I was there, from someone who went from being completely miserable, yet wanting to be happy, but not knowing how to without substances. Someone who loved to sing, dance, and move, and work out and do exercises, but didn't have the confidence anymore because of substances. I rediscovered myself while getting myself clean and sober those 10 months. And when I got out of Springhouse, I gravitated towards the wellness community,
Mm-hmm.
people that were in wellness. I started going to yoga studios, and I found a lot of parallels in the yoga community as in the recovery community.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of similarities within the work that I did to get sober that you find in yoga, which is so beautiful. Yoga to me, it was a time to quiet the mind, which I was never good at. That's why I used substances, because being alone with my thoughts was scary and sad and took me to dark places. And then when I cleared my mind from the drugs and alcohol, and I was able to sit in a yoga room and pause for a good 3 minutes in a pose and connect with my body and my mind, something just clicked for me. And I was like, wow, I want to share this with other human beings. And I went ahead and I got my 200 RYT. I got certified in yoga, and I teach yoga now, not just for others, but I do it for myself, Um, but just like recovery and sobriety, I have to share my gifts that I've been given and all my little discoveries along the way in order to keep what I have. So there was just a lot of similarities with getting clean that I found in in the world of yoga. And it's beautiful. Like yoga means the word union in Sanskrit, and unity in our triangle that we talk about, like in recovery, like in some of the work, we talk about coming together, and we need like community to keep us sober. There's so many parallels.
Do you want to go into a little more detail about some of the parallels, or?
Sure. So what I was mentioning about how I get to spend time with myself when I'm in a certain pose. Um, that's to me, that was like a lot of the work I got to do with writing down all of my, just purging all of a year's worth of muck that was stuck inside me that I was encouraged to write down when I was in rehab, which I never would have done. You know, I was encouraged to take pen to paper and really write down my thoughts. If you told me to go journal like by myself before in rehab, I would have not done it. You know, I would have convinced myself there was a million and one better things to do. But when I was actually pretty much, I don't want to say forced in a bad way, but I was mandated, like you have journal entries to write every day. It became a practice. And just like that practice, yoga is a practice, right? So we say in recovery, progress, not perfection. That's it's one of my favorite sayings. There's a lot of sayings that I love, but that's one of my favorite. And it really stresses on the fact that there is no, in recovery, there is no like finish line. There's no destination other than a destination, a journey that continues. That's the same as a yoga practice. You know, when I first got into yoga before sobriety, I was like, I'm never coming back to a yoga studio because I was so intimidated. And again, my confidence at that point, because I didn't know myself very well, was very low. And I just compared myself to other yogis in the room. Whereas when I got sober and I went into a yoga studio, I felt that it was okay that she may look one way in a certain pose and my body is shaped differently. I'm at a different level of my journey, and it's a practice. And just like recovery, it doesn't matter how much time you have. It's 24 hours. It's you wake up each day with a daily reprieve. You have the choice to start your day with the intention of being clean and sober, just like you have the opportunity and choice to start your day as a learning yogi. You know, like I always say, remain teachable in all aspects of life. But there's just so many reasons why I love yoga and wholeness and wellness in general. So being in yoga, that's like what I started with when I first left rehab. And then I started to get into the whole wellness world because I was so just enthralled by it all. I started reading lots of books about aromatherapy, and I started like alternatives of boosting your serotonin levels. And that is ultimately why I would use these substances, because my serotonin was so depleted. I didn't know how to naturally cultivate endorphins, you know. I discovered that there were so many other ways through eating really, really healthy foods. You know, there's a different feeling if I choose to eat that bag of Cheetos rather than like a bag of carrots, my brain just felt different. You know what I'm saying? So I made a lot of choices through my early sobriety that has just fueled my longevity in sobriety. It was 2016. I'm coming up on 7 years, and it's truly incredible because I was a completely different girl. I'm thinking about it now, and I get choked up about it because my heart is so full. And I think that that's the main thing too, is And that's a huge thing that I found in yoga as well, is remaining grateful, no matter what stage you are in life, no matter what cards you're dealt throughout the day. If you have that grateful heart, you can put your head down on the pillow and say, like, I made it through another day. Um, and I wanted to share this as well because it's just coming up and that's what happens. But that makes me think of this past February, I lost my mom.
Mm.
And as I'm sitting here telling you this, I am thinking, if I were still out there using drugs and alcohol, I probably for sure, number one, I wouldn't be here, but that's how I would have coped with it, with the loss of my mother. And I want to pinch myself because I can't believe that something so tragic, because it was sudden, um, and something so heartbreaking is possible for me to go through without drugs and alcohol. It blows my mind, but it's because I can do it with all of these tools that I have gathered through the years, starting with taking deep breaths, coming back to my center, coming back to me. And I found that girl, yes, in the 10 months I was in that sobriety living, that sober living. But also I continue to find her on the yoga mat. Every time I'm on that yoga mat and I'm in a pose where I can pause and breathe and recalibrate, I'm brought back to my center. And I remember why I got sober in the first place. And a lot of deep breathing and a lot of grateful thinking has gotten me through my mother's passing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's become beautiful more than sad, to be honest. Do you have any other questions? I feel like I'm just rambling.
No, no, that's totally fine. I want to hear everything you have to say. That's part of this, just the flow of the thoughts, because
Awesome.
one thing reminds you of another thing, and where your mind goes. I mean, that's why we're talking, because I want to know more about you and your story and everything you have to say, because it's important. Capturing even 20 minutes of who you are is important. I like to think that these, even if it's 60 viewers or like 300, someone needs to hear it. So, that being said, I did want to ask you about your aromatherapy as well, because I talked to Morgan Kennedy about yoga and how it's not just the physicality of certain poses and movements that is a part of that. There's tenets and principles and mindsets and everything that we've just been talking about. But aromatherapy is something that I haven't really heard about too much.
Nice. Ooh, I love when somebody hasn't heard about it. Okay. So just like yoga, when I got out of Springhouse, someone had actually, it was someone I was in Springhouse with. A family member had given her some oils, essential oils,
Oh.
and they're pure. I have some right here. I have like a whole plethora of, I mean, any essential oil you can think of, I probably have. But so she had given me a couple like samples to try, and she said these are ingestible. You can diffuse them in a diffuser. You can put them in food. And I was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like there's just so much. I was just like you. I had no clue.
Mm-hmm.
But I started with an oil called bergamot. And it is actually, I have to share this because it's so wild.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the one that I started with to diffuse, not to ingest. And it smells lovely. I put it in my diffuser, and I used to joke, and people always used to say, Amy, you're always on a pink cloud. Like you're always just so happy. My early sobriety, everyone was like, gosh, you're just so grateful and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think back to it, and I think, and I still use this today, whenever I diffuse this, I am in the happiest mood. So I wanted to look into more into essential oils. in my early recovery, and I did. And what they in fact do, it's nature's medicine.
Hmm.
And what they do is, in 20 seconds of diffusing them, they enter your body and into your cells. And this specific oil, which I found out actually like years into my sobriety, is called the addiction oil. It's recommended for those who have addiction because it targets the part of the brain that releases endorphins,
Mm.
and it just started making more sense. So long story short, I dived right in and I wanted to know all the things, and I use essential oils for pretty much everything now. I I don't want to say I don't go to the doctor because I do believe in going to the doctor for certain things.
Yeah.
Let's just say I haven't been to the doctor because I haven't had the need in a very long time because of because of my little apothecary.
Hmm.
Um, I take essential oils regularly, and I'm actually a essential oils coach now.
Oh.
Yes, so I coach people on how to use them in their daily lives. Again, diffusing them. I use them in my laundry detergent. I use them to clean. I use them in my shampoos. I use them. It's a natural way, and a non-toxic, safe way to, I want to say, live your best life, because that's what comes to mind. It's just another thing that targets the mind, body, soul. I'm all about it.
I didn't know aromatherapy is centered around essential oils. That's so funny because I'm actually allergic.
Does that else?
Yes.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, wow. Well, we'll have to talk because there's certain oils out there that are that can claim that they're 100% like organic and natural, but they're adulterated. So
Yeah.
trust me, all the research I have, it's what I do. But we'll talk. We can talk about that for sure. Because there are certain things that you should be able to. It's like the oils that I have are straight from, like, are you allergic to oranges or apples or?
No.
No, you're not allergic to oranges. Okay, so yeah, like these come straight from the source.
Hmm.
These no adulterated, But yeah, I've broken out before for sure too, like allergic, bad, broken out or like wheeze from it. Yeah.
Oh
There's
wow.
certain ones. Yeah, I wouldn't buy them if they're in the store. But
So
yeah, I use it to for mm, every emotion, really. There's an oil for every emotion.
so if you wouldn't recommend getting them from the store, where would you recommend getting your essential oils from?
Well, someone like myself,
Hmm.
what I do is I have an essential oil business.
Mm.
I sell them. So what I do is, if when you become a client of mine, I take you on a whole, we break you down, your personality, your, uh, biochemistry, everything that you're made up of. I would go over with you, and then we put you on a essential oil journey, depending on what suits you. And I only deal with the purest of the pure, doTERRA. And the reason I love them, doTERRA, is also because they are part of an organization called Healing Hands.
Mm.
And so everything that we source, we give back to the community, and we're building hospitals and homes, and we're giving these farmers lands and houses and communities and running water. And we go and we travel to all these places. They're like our big family. It's a doTERRA family. So it's for a really good cause. And yeah, you're not going to find them at the store though. So you would seek out someone who is an essential oil coach like myself, and I'd be able to point you in the right direction.
Okay, well, that's a new profession that I learned about today. So, mission of learning something accomplished. That being said, we are at time. So, any last comments, questions, concerns, Amy, before we end off?
I just want to end off with extending my gratitude to you and to whoever tuned in, whoever's going to tune in, and whoever does get to see this. I just want to just say to keep a grateful heart. I can't harp on that enough. When you find you're in your head, seek your home in your heart, because that's really where all the answers are. We can spend too much time up here, but coming back to the body and living from the heart is truly what has kept me sober. So thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Have a nice day.
Bye.